On this lesson, we are going to create the click for the button, and I am sorry to say that we are going to have some basic concepts about Java. Yeah, I know programming Android is not bad, but Java is the most difficult part. It's boring. I would prefer not to do it, but we need to do it at this point. In the next lesson, I'm going to give you a tip to how to get motivated and keep going forward even if you don't understand everything that is happening. Okay, so going back to the main activity, I'm going to delete these two methods that I don't want to use now. And now here we will need the method, but for understand the method we need to learn Java, and for understand a method we need to know what is a type and a variable. So let's start with a variable. Imagine a variable like a piece stored in memory which contains some value. So this variable can be from different type, and this is the type in Java. They can contain number, it can be a text, it can be a boolean value, which is a yes or no value. Let's start with types in Java and variable declaration. So for example, I'm going to declare a text variable. So I'm going to write the type is a string, the name of the variable, and then this is a variable declaration. So now I have reserved a space in memory for this variable. This variable at the moment doesn't have any value, so I'm going to assign a value to this variable. So this string is going to be high. Now that for a string you have to use speech marks between the letters. Okay, the second type of variable is a number, an integer, is int. So I can create an int I and it can have the value 9. Okay, and the third thing, most common, is a boolean, which can be true or can be false. It can be only two types. Okay, these are the common types on Java. There are more types, like for example, number with decimal or big numbers. But at the moment, we are just going to focus on this one, and as soon as we get used to them, I will start explaining more about types and more types. Okay. Now, remember that for the click, we just created a method which was public void start single player game. This is going to be one click on my first button, and that it has a view as an input. And the method was looking like this. Okay. What is a method? A method, I will say, is like a piece of code that does something. The first thing that is before the method that we cannot put if we don't want, but it's better to get used to it, is the visibility. It can be public or private. Which is that? So for example, if I want to start the game from here, I can call this method as soon as I create the activity. So I'm calling the method from inside the activity. So this method can be private at the moment. Private means that it can only be called from inside the same class. Okay, public means that it can be called from outside code. Why does this method have to be public? Because this method is going to be called from the view, from the XML file. When I click on the button, I'm going to call this method. That's why our click method has to be public. Okay, this is the same applied for the class. This is just the visibility. So going with the method is composed by a header and a body. And the body on the method is when we do something. And the header is just the declaration of the method. It starts with the return type. The return type can be nothing, like for example, this method is just going to start the activity and it's not going to return nothing. But imagine that I want a method that multiplies two numbers and it's going to give me the result. So it will be something like that. Int multiply numbers. It will have one number as an input and a second number. Okay, so this will produce a result which will be number 1 and number 2. Okay, and then I will return the result. So look at this method. This method has a return type int. So that is the first part. The first part is the return type. Can be nothing, can be an integer, can be any type. Okay. The second thing is the name of the method. You normally use a name which is an action, because a method at the end is an action. So starting a project, multiply a number, or do something. The third thing is the input parameter. Now that here the input parameter are two numbers, because we need to get two numbers in order to multiply them. Here the input parameter is a view, which is the view that we click. We are not going to do something with this, but it's mandatory because that is on the definition of the method. Okay. And the third type of method can be a method that, for example, close my app, and it's not going to get anything as an input. So it can be one input, it can be from 1 to n inputs, as many inputs as we want, or it can be nothing. So we can have a method with the same name and with different type of inputs. Okay, so it looks like we have the basics about a method. We have the basic about variables, about variable declaration, and about how the method returns the result. What do you think about Java? Is it difficult? In the next lesson I'm going to give you a tip of how to not get frustrated.